The last transmission, the stars, above Earth, were calm. There was no sign of war, no signal of danger, just silence. But deep within the Earth's orbit, a massive fleet was ready. These were not just ordinary warships. They were humanity's most powerful creation, silent, black-armored, and loaded with weapons never seen before. The fleet's name was Phantom Dawn. It had no official records, no public broadcasts. Only a few top officials on Earth knew its true purpose. Admiral Rian stood at the command deck of the flagship Eclipse 1. His face was calm, but his eyes showed the weight of the unknown. Around him, officers worked quietly, running final checks. The engines hummed low, and the lights on the ship dimmed. One by one, the ships signaled ready. "All systems green," a voice reported. Rian looked at the main screen. A countdown began. 3, 2, 1. In an instant, every ship jumped into deep space. No trail, no flash, just gone. Earth received one last message. "We'll return when the time is right." Then, silence. Across the galaxy, hundreds of alien satellites and sensors picked up the movement, but only for a second. Then, the signal disappeared. There was no trace of the fleet. No warp trails, no heat signatures. Nothing. The Galactic Council, made up of 5 powerful empires, was confused. Then they became worried. Within hours, meetings were called. Scientists ran simulations. Diplomats questioned Earth, but no one had answers. Where did they go? What was the purpose of the fleet? Did they use a forbidden technology? Earth remained silent. Their leaders said nothing. No statements, no updates. Only silence. On the planet Zelen Prime, High Speaker Kurtol of the Verdun Empire slammed his hand on the table. "This is impossible. No fleet can vanish like that. Not even ours." General Raku of the Torcan Alliance replied coldly, "Unless they've discovered something we haven't." The room went quiet. A deep fear settled across the empires. If humans had built ships that could vanish without a trace, could they also appear without warning? Meanwhile, on Earth, the people were confused too. News stations speculated wildly. Did our fleet travel to another galaxy? Is this a secret mission? Was there an accident? Families of the soldiers on board received only one message. Your loved one serves a purpose greater than war. They will return. Still, there was no answer to the biggest question. Where did they go? 2 weeks passed. Then something strange happened. At the edge of Torak space, a human scout ship suddenly appeared. It was floating slowly, as if lost. The ship had no crew. No damage. No distress signal. The Torak Border Patrol was alerted. They surrounded the ship and scanned it. The engine was cold. No life forms detected. But then, the lights inside the ship turned on. A transmission began to play. It was Admiral Rian's voice. "To those who find this, we are not lost. We are not gone. The stars hold secrets we were never meant to touch. But we touched them anyway." The transmission ended with a strange set of coordinates. But when alien scientists checked them, they found something disturbing. That area of space didn't exist on any star maps. It was empty. A dead zone. Nothing had ever come out of it. And now? A ship had returned from there. The Galactic Council went into emergency mode. Theories spread like fire. Some believed Earth had built cloaking technology that could fool even black hole sensors. Others said the humans had entered another dimension. And a few believed something even darker. That the humans had found something ancient and had made contact. The Verdun Empire sent a science fleet to the coordinates from the message. They never came back. Not a single signal. Not even debris. Now, fear turned into panic. Empires started moving fleets near Earth's borders. Defense shields were raised. Old weapons were reactivated. Everyone was preparing for war. Or something worse. Back on Earth, a single transmission played in secret military channels. It was not meant for the world. But somehow, it leaked. A deep robotic voice spoke. Phase 1 complete. Humanity is no longer bound by the known. The next message will come when the galaxy is ready. And then silence again. In a dark control room under the Arctic ice, a small red light blinked on a console. A man in a black uniform smiled and said, "They're watching now. Let them wonder." He turned off the screen. Outside, the stars continued to shine. Peaceful, silent. But far beyond, in a place no map could show, Earth's war fleet waited. And the galaxy had no explanation. Asterisk panic in the stars. The galaxy was no longer calm. The disappearance of Earth's fleet had started as a mystery. Now it was a growing fear. 5 powerful empires, each with their own armies and secrets, were watching Earth closely. But Earth stayed quiet. Too quiet. In the council chambers of the Zenari Dominion, a message played over and over again on the main screen. We are not lost. We are not gone. Every time the message ended, silence followed. No one could explain it. The humans hadn't just disappeared. They had left behind something worse in a weapon-uncertainty. In the cold halls of the Galactic Council, leaders of the major races argued. They are hiding a dark technology, hissed Lord K.R. Reven of the Relock species. No, said High Scholar Talon of the Draxery. This is beyond science. They entered a space we cannot measure. General Yarrow of the Steelburn Empire spoke last. His voice was deep and slow. They didn't vanish, they ascended. The room went still. Meanwhile, in deep space, strange things were happening. Ships traveling near the Forbiddens. Coordinates, the ones given by the unmanned human scout, began reporting errors. Engines would freeze. Time sensors would reset. Some ships experienced 5 minutes inside that space, but came out to find 5 days had passed. One alien cargo vessel, the Varian Pulse, vanished inside. It returned 12 hours later. But the crew was gone. All that remained was a message burned into the pilot's chair. You were not invited. Now the region had a name across the galaxy. The silent expanse. No empire dared to enter it again. The alien people grew restless. Across colonies, citizens demanded answers. News networks broadcast theories. Some said Earth was experimenting with dark matter. Others claimed the humans had found a gateway to another universe. And a few believed something else. That Earth had never intended to return. But then, the second signal came. It appeared in 7 different star systems at the same time. A black screen. A whisper. We watched your wars, your cruelty, your fear. That is why we left. We changed. The screen flickered. A static image of a massive human warship appeared half-shrouded in mist, glowing with symbols unknown to alien science. Then it vanished. No coordinates, no source, just gone. Back on Earth, governments were silent. But underground, in the hidden command base codenamed Iron Deep, something stirred. Massive machines activated. Screens lit up with strange star charts. A countdown began, but to what? No one knew. Inside a sealed room, an old general stood in front of a hologram showing the galaxy. He whispered, "They're afraid. That means it's working." On the jungle world of Velther, a group of alien treasure hunters decided to explore the silent expanse. They wanted answers, and the riches that might come from discovering human secrets. They never expected what they found. At the edge of the dead zone, their scanners picked up a massive structure. Not a ship, not a planet, a station orbiting. Nothing. It was black, silent, almost invisible against space. They sent a drone closer. The moment the drone reached it, a signal blasted through their ship. Their screens turned black. Then words appeared. You were warned. The station powered on and disappeared. So did the hunters. Across the galaxy. Fear turned to panic. Empires started arming their fleets. Some prepared for war, others for surrender. But one thing was clear to all. The humans hadn't disappeared. They had become something else. Something that moved without sound. Something that watched from the shadows. Something that could appear anywhere. And was waiting. In a small alien mining colony on the edge of known space, a child looked up at the night sky. Among the stars, he saw something odd. A light. Then a shape. A human warship. It hovered quietly for a moment. Then faded into nothing. He ran to tell his parents, but when they returned, the sky was empty again. Still, the boy pointed and said, "They're back." The forbidden coordinates. The galaxy was no longer asking if Earth's fleet would return. No. It asked when. And how. After the second strange broadcast, the alien empires realized the truth. They were not in control anymore. The humans had vanished, yes. But now they were showing signs of something. Greater. Something not bound by normal rules. In a dark observatory, aboard the verdant scientific vessel, Lurian's Eye. Dr. Kishel looked at the screen. His eyes widened. He was tracking the data from the last human signal. The coordinates didn't lead to any known star, planet, or space station. In fact, they led to a place outside the official galactic map. A dead zone. No starlight. No gravity. Just emptiness. Or so they thought. Kishel blinked at the screen again. The data was changing on its own. At the same time, thousands of light years away, the Draxery Exploration Council launched an unmanned probe toward those same coordinates. It was one of their most advanced models, equipped to travel through black holes and survive intense solar storms. They called it Whisper 3. For 2 hours, the probe flew toward the dead zone. Its signal was strong, clear. Then it crossed the invisible boundary. Everything stopped. The screen turned black. The signal flatlined. And then it sent back one image. A still frame of something impossible. A massive human ship. Not like before. This one was not built for war. It looked more like a temple, floating among broken stars. And behind it was a tear in space itself. A rift. Panic spread through the council. This was no longer just a vanishing fleet. The humans had discovered something unnatural. A way to hide inside space or behind it. On the desert world Zeron, an outlaw pilot named Velk Tarin heard rumors of this rift. He had no loyalty to any empire. Just his ship and a desire to be the first to reach the unknown. If I survive, he told his AI, the stories I sell will make me rich for life. His ship, the Silent Cutter, entered the Forbidden's coordinates quietly. He never sent a full report. But his ship's emergency recorder was found 3 days later, floating outside a Torkin military base. It contained a short log. I saw them, hundreds of them, watching me from inside the rift. They're not the same anymore. They saw me too. Then the recording ended with a whisper, barely audible. They are building something. On Earth, the hidden base Iron Deep remained sealed. No leader spoke. No humans answered questions. But deep inside the base, engineers worked silently around a strange device. A rotating ring pulsing with light and humming in a strange rhythm. They called it the Gate, and they were preparing to open it. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council could no longer wait. One of the 5 empires, the Kralok Dominion, sent a full battle group to the forbidden Zone 12 warships, led by a dreadnought. Their orders were simple. Enter the zone. Find the human fleet. Capture technology. The fleet crossed the boundary. Their last message. We have entered the coordinates. No resistance so far. Then silence. No explosions. No debris. They simply vanished. like the humans had. Back on the council floor, tension turned into shouting. "We must attack Earth," one leader screamed. "No," another shouted. "We provoke them, we die." In the middle of the argument, all lights shut down. A single message appeared across every screen, every station, every empire. "You warned us once. We listened. You ignored us. Now you listen." And for the first time, Earth broadcast a visual. A ship, a new design, sleek, silent, no visible engines. It hovered in space above the silent expanse, and behind it, thousands more slowly faded into view one by one. No sound. No weapons fired. Just presence. It was no longer a fleet. It was a wall. On a quiet observation station orbiting a moon, a young alien technician looked up from her console. She whispered to her commander, "What are they doing?" He didn't answer, because deep inside, he already knew the truth. The humans weren't returning to start a war. They were returning to end something. And whatever it was, hadn't arrived yet. The ghost fleet awakens. The stars were quiet, but silence now meant danger. Across the galaxy, old enemies paused their wars. Borders that once burned with conflict grew cold. Everyone was watching the same thing. The silent expanse. That empty space, once thought dead, now held something beyond explanation. Earth's vanished war fleet had returned, changed, evolved, and still, completely silent. In the control tower of the Zalari listening post, Operator Vec stared at the screen in disbelief. The image was clear, hundreds of human warships floating in perfect formation. But their design, it was unlike anything known. The hulls were dark and smooth, as if made of space itself. No engines, no visible weapons. Just shadows with purpose. "Are they alive?" Vec whispered. Then, as if hearing him, the ships turned. Not toward any planet, not toward any fleet. They turned toward the galaxy itself and moved from one corner of the universe to another. Sensors screamed. Space folded, then unfolded. The ships were not using normal propulsion. They weren't flying. They were appearing simultaneously in multiple systems. The same ship spotted near Torque in space, then seconds later near Velari moons, and again near Draxari Prime. Scientists panicked. This breaks physics. They're rewriting the laws of reality. This is not a fleet. This is a message. And that message was clear. We are no longer bound by your rules. On Earth, the governments remain silent. No broadcast. No speech. But in secret, the project called Echo Protocol had completed its final stage. Inside a massive underground chamber, 20 high-ranking commanders stood in a circle around a glowing core. They placed their hands on it and spoke one line in unison. The veil has lifted. Phase 2 begins. Lights dimmed. The planet's orbit shifted slightly, and a ripple moved across the solar system silent, unseen by alien eyes. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was now the heart of something much larger. On the jungle, Planet Calthus, a group of alien monks who studied time anomalies, felt something strange. Their sacred pool and ancient water source that had remained still for 1,000 years began to move. One monk leaned close to listen. He heard voices. Human voices, but they weren't speaking. They were remembering. The monk backed away, eyes wide with fear. He whispered, "They've touched time." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, fear had turned to something worse, helplessness. "We must destroy them now," shouted one admiral. "With what?" replied another. "They are already everywhere." Then a council aide ran in, pale and trembling. He held a small device. "This just arrived," he said. He placed it on the table. It projected a simple hologram. Admiral Rian, alive, calm, changed. He wore no uniform, just black robes with a glowing symbol unknown to any culture. His message was short. We asked for peace. You watched us bleed. You left us behind. We disappeared to become what was needed. You feared our weapons. You never asked what we were running from. The room fell silent. No one knew what he meant. Running from what? On the edge of known space, near a region called the Ebon High-Low, strange signals began. Unknown energy patterns. Whispers inside communication lines. Ships going offline for 6 seconds. Then returning without memory. One drone managed to capture an image. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien. It was something else. A shape made of shifting black light. Eyes with no center. A body of energy and hunger. The image lasted 1 frame. But the message attached to it was clear. Single human-coded word. It's coming. That night, in millions of alien cities, people looked up at their skies. Some saw nothing, but a few, those who still believed in old myths, saw figures. Shadows. Silent ships above the clouds. Watching, waiting. And from far, far away, the ghost fleet began to sing. Not music, but a low hum. A signal across dimensions. The awakening had begun, and the galaxy finally understood. The humans didn't vanish. They prepared. Asterisk. The reckoning begins. The galaxy held its breath. The humans had returned, but not as they once were. Their ships moved through space without sound, without fuel, without delay. They appeared wherever they wished and vanished just as fast. But they still hadn't fired a single shot. Not one. That silence was more terrifying than war. In the high orbit of Draxury Prime, civilians crowded the streets, pointing at the sky. Above their capital, a single human warship hovered still, silent, unshaken by the planet's defense grid. Fighters scrambled to intercept. Missiles were launched. Nothing touched it. The weapons simply passed through, like the ship wasn't there, but it was. And it was watching. The moment Draxury leaders tried to communicate, a deep voice echoed across all frequencies. You raised arms against us. We held back. But now you've awakened something else, and it remembers. In the council chambers, the 5 empires met for the last time. They are warning us, said the Torkin Chancellor. We must stand down. No, growled General Velsh of the Kralok Dominion. We must strike first. Earth must fall. But before any decision could be made, every light went dark. A soft hum filled the room. Then the galaxy-wide network was hijacked. One by one, screens lit up, each showing a massive black sphere slowly rotating in space. Dozens of them, each one the size of a moon. A voice followed, not human, not alien. Something in between. You delayed the end. Now we come to finish what your kind once escaped. And just like that, the signal vanished. The room was silent. Then the Earth ambassador stood. He spoke for the first time in 75 days. We tried to stop them alone, he said. But now we cannot. We disappeared to prepare, not to hide. In the ebon halo, the darkness began to move. Strange shapes, like torn cloth and flickering lights, drifted into known space. They weren't ships. They weren't creatures. Or something in between, echoes of a forgotten war. They slipped through shields. They fed on power. They whispered into minds. One colony in Sector 12 reported seeing the stars go out. By the time help arrived, the entire colony was gone. Not destroyed, just erased. Earth's ghost fleet reacted immediately. They appeared above 12 core worlds of the 5 empires. 1 ship per world. Each ship released a glowing orb that hovered silently above the cities. The orbs spoke with a single voice. This is your final choice. Stand with us or be swept away when they come. The message ended. The orbs dissolved. The ships vanished again, but the message echoed across the stars. The reckoning had begun. On a hidden moon near a red giant, Admiral Rian stood before a council of old human leaders, those who had remained hidden while the rest of the galaxy panicked. They stood around a massive display showing an approaching storm, a cosmic wave of darkness, pulled by ancient intelligence. They were the first, Rian said, the first to cross into this universe. Long before us. A general asked, "Why now?" Rian replied, "Because we made the same mistake they did. We reached too far, too fast. But unlike them, we had time to change." He paused. "And now we'll give the galaxy that same chance." In a secret Kraylock facility, deep underground, a team of engineers activated a weapon built in Fear, a planetary disruptor, designed to erase Earth's atmosphere in one blast dot as they prepared to fire. The room turned cold. A human figure appeared in the shadows. He said nothing. But the disruptors? Control system melted into light, then vanished. One word echoed in their minds. Enough. The galaxy finally understood. The humans had not returned to fight for revenge. They returned to hold the line dot, to protect the galaxy that had once left them behind. And now, the question was no longer about Earth's fleet. The question was, who would stand with them when the true enemy arrived? Asterisk, why they vanished. The stars had never looked so still. Across the galaxy, planets stood quiet. Warships drifted near moons, silent and waiting. Civilizations that once feared nothing now held their breath. The true enemy, the reason Earth's fleet vanished, was coming, but no one understood what it was. Not yet dot in the skies above the planet Orin. A strange event began. Stars flickered out, not because of distance or time, but because something massive was moving in front of them. No ship, no form, just a growing wall of blackness swallowing the sky. Sensors failed, scouts vanished. The stars didn't just go dark. They were being consumed. From across the galaxy, messages came in. Stars dying. Systems crashing. We are not alone. They're not ships, they're shadows. Then one more line appeared across every known communication network. One sentence dot written in old Earth language. This is what we ran from. On Earth, the secret project called Echo Protocol had entered its final phase. Deep below the surface, inside a hidden command core beneath the Antarctic ice, a glowing construct, rotated in silence. It was the key, a device forged not for war, but for survival. Human leaders stood around it. Admiral Rian placed his hand on the interface. "Are we ready?" he asked. A soft voice replied, "They are coming through. We can't stop them, but we can contain them." He nodded. "Then we begin the final act." Across the galaxy, the Ghost Fleet revealed itself in full. Thousands of ships appeared above major worlds, not to fight, but to deploy anchors. These glowing towers fell from orbit and stabbed deep into each planet's crust. They hummed, pulsed, and connected in a web of energy across space. The Galactic Council panicked. What are they doing? They're invading. They lied. But Earth sent a final message. We are not your enemy. We never were. We are the shield you never knew you needed. Then the rift opened. Not far from the center of the galaxy, a tear in space split open like a wound. It pulsed with dark light. Through it came creatures unlike anything known, massive fluid, shifting between form and void. They didn't speak. They didn't broadcast dot. They only devoured dot first. They consumed energy, then memory, then matter itself. Entire moons vanished in seconds. Empires screamed for help, but only the humans responded. Admiral Rian stood aboard Eclipse 1, eyes locked on the enemy. His voice was calm, strong. This is why we left, to become what was needed, to stop this. Behind him, humanity's fleet began to change. Ships unfolded, grew wings of pure light, and powered on weapons that had no visible parts. They no longer needed fuel or metal. They ran on understanding, on intention, on choice. They had become something more than warships. They were guardians now. The battle began. Human ships didn't just fight the enemy, they contained them. Every blast, every move was done with precision. The aliens, once so confident, now watched in shock. Earth wasn't losing. Earth was leading. And slowly, one by one, other races joined them. Torkin fighters flew beside human carriers. Draxery. Warcasters powered shields over entire sectors. Even the proud Kralak deployed their strongest dreadnoughts. Under Earth's command, the galaxy had finally united, not in fear of Earth, but in hope because of it. After 17 hours of endless war, the rift began to close, not destroyed, but sealed. Held shut by the anchors Earth had placed on every world. Insane anchors that the empires had feared. Now, they were part of a living net, a shield, stretched across the stars. The humans had not built a weapon. They had built a cage, and inside that cage, the darkness would remain. In the final moment, Admiral Rian sent one last message. We disappeared to prepare. You left us alone, but we never left you. We became the wall between light and shadow. When we return again, it will not be for war, but to remind you what it means to stand together. Then the fleet faded, not in defeat, but in peace. Some say they returned to their rift. Others believe they still watch from the dark, waiting for the day the galaxy forgets again. But children across alien worlds now speak of them with awe. The fleet that vanished, the ships that sang in silence, the humans who left the stars and came back as legends. Asterisk.